there, my name is Oluwatayo Winkole, and in today's tutorial, we're going to be looking at logical functions and how will they help you to analyze your data quicker and, sharper. Right, let's look at the scenario of a sales manager who manages about 5 stores in a city and how they can quickly use these 3 functions: if, COUNTIF, and SUMIF. Now let's look at Sarah, the sales manager. Sarah necessarily needs to do monthly reports and categorize sales for each store, whether as high sales or as low sales. Sarah can basically use the if function for that. That says you can basically specify a criteria to say, if sales is greater than $1,000, tell us it is high sales. If it is lower than $1,000, tell us it is low sales. Right. Sarah may want to go ahead to understand the total occurrence of high sales and low sales. That is, it wants to count the high sales and the low sales. You can use the COUNTIF function to quickly do that, to say, count how many high sales we have, count how many low sales we have, and you can easily see at a glance for your analysis to say, oh, in this month, we have 50 high sales, we have 40 high sales. You can even break it further down into locations or the stores that you want to see this data for. Now, the last logical function we'll look at is the SUMIF function. What does SUMIF do? Sarah can basically use SUMIF to sum by specifying a particular criteria again. Maybe you want to specify the criteria as a store location. You can basically sum whatsoever their sales figure is per store, and it's easier to read, it's easier and quicker for your analysis. So let's quickly look at quickly look at this concept in Microsoft Excel. So let's prepare a report for Sarah, who'd like to be making a report for this product and for these different stores in Lagos, Nigeria. Now, first off, we want to use the COUNTIF function to determine which one. We want to use the if function rather to determine which of the sales is high sales or low sales, and the criteria we'll use is to determine that is to tell the system or to tell Excel if any of the sales figure is greater than $1,000, record it as high sales. If it is lower than it, or else record it as low sales, that is if it is lower than $1,000. So let's quickly do that. So I'm going to call if function equal to if, and I'll pick it with my tab key. The logical test here is to tell Excel to say if any of the sales figures, so I'll reference the sales cell, that is this $3,016. I would say if it is greater than $1,000, that's the expression that I want to tell it. I will basically say I'll basically say write the high sales. So it's asking me what value should it return if it is true. And since I want it to return a text, I'll put it in quotation marks. So I'll just write I, and the other argument is the otherwise. It's more like binary, that is zeros and ones. So since I've fulfilled one, the other one should be okay. If it is not, just write low. So if it is not 1,000, or if it is not greater than 1,000, that is if it is lower than $1,000, write low. So I'm just going to tell it to write low, and that's really capital L. And then we close it and we'll hit the enter button. And since 3016 is greater than $1,000, we have high, so we can easily copy the formula to all the parts of the remaining data set. So you can see the ones that are lower than $1,000, like this $920, it has identified it as low, and so on and so forth. So that is how Sarah can use the if function to determine high or low sales by specifying or by writing an expression and specifying a particular criteria. Right, so let's look at how she can use COUNTIF to determine how many highs it has or how many lows it has. So we're going to add a bit of data validation here, because I want whoever is reading Sarah's report to be able to toggle between high and low, and just select a number and say, oh, I want to see total count of high sales and total count of low sales. So let's quickly, validate a particular cell. I'll come to my data tab. I'll just quickly do that using data validation that we are familiar with already. Right, I'm going to come to say, give us a list. And I'm just going to, instead of referencing the cell, I'm just going to quickly write out what I want to see there. Right, so I have high and low in my drop down. Now here I'd like to quickly put the expression here. I'd like to quickly put the expression, so I can select high, and I can put the expression count, or put the function rather, count if the range that I want it to count from is in this high or low range. So I'm just going to highlight the entire range here, and I'm going to put comma, and it's asking me what's the criteria. I want to tell it that the criteria is either whether you find where you find high or where you find low. So I'm just going to reference my validated cell here to see if it is high, and anytime I toggle it to low, it's going to give me the count. So I'm just going to hit enter button, and here it says we have high sales, 14 a total of 14 high sales. And if I change this to low, it's going to tell me, it's going to change that figure there to 4 to tell me, oh, we have 4 low sales. So we can see how COUNTIF is very helpful, and in order to summarize the report for Sarah. You can imagine if Sarah had this data set running into thousands, it could just, with the help of COUNTIF, you can easily count how many sales are high, how many sales are low, and you can easily toggle them like this. It can form part of a simple report for your team or for your higher stakeholders. All right, so let's look at the third logical function, which is SUMIF. Now, in this case, Sarah wants to understand what is going on in each of the stores. That is, wants to understand the total sales in each store. So there's the sales in Yaba, Ikoyi, Lekki, and all of that. So it wants to use SUMIF to give it that criteria. So let's quickly do that. We'll do something similar to the data validation, very similar to what we've done for the high and the low sales, or the COUNTIF. So let's quickly validate. Let's use this. Let's put it here, and we will do data validation. It's a list, and here we can put the list of all the stores, or we can, if you have it written in another sheet or somewhere else on the sheet, we can just highlight them. So I'm just going to quickly write them: Lekki, Ikoyi, Yaba, and I think Haja, then Ikeja is on my list. So I'm just going to say okay now, which means I can easily see all of these guys in the drop down cell. So I will use the SUMIF to find the total sum in each of the stores. So I'm going to equal to SUMIF, and what's the range, because I want to specify if a criteria at the end. I want to be able to say, oh, SUMIF, everything you see in Yaba, every sales in Yaba, I want to see it. Every sales in Lekki, I want to see it. Every sales in Aja, and so on and so forth. So I'll first of all specify the range of where the stores are. So the range where the stores are is here. So I'm just going to highlight the entire range where the column where the stores are, like this. That's the end of it. And the next criteria, or the next argument says, so what is the criteria? So I will then reference the name of the store. That is, when you find Yaba, or when you find Ikeja, when you find Ikoyi, and so on and so forth. So, but because I've already put all of those stores in this cell, so I'm just going to be referencing just this one cell, so that when I'm changing it, it will be giving me the different figures, or the corresponding figures for the different stores. So it basically now says, what's the sum of the range? Where exactly are the figures that I want to sum? So I'll highlight the entire column for the sales here also. Close my bracket that way, and I'll hit enter button. Now, Excel has basically given me the total sales in Yaba. I'll quickly format this back into currency, or just give it an accounting format, so that that looks a bit good, like it's sales figures, right? So we can see the one for Yaba. We can see the sales for Ikoyi, total sales for Ikoyi. We can see total sales for Aja. We can see the same thing for Ikeja, and so on and so forth. So Sarah can easily put this up together in a report using the SUMIF using COUNTIF and using the if function to put together a sales report for the month. All right, if this video has been helpful for you, give it a thumbs up, like, and share.